despite what their moms told them. They just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Tuesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe at Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there. Join the militia. Thank you for joining us. This is your Ohio Bobcats preview. The Orange will open up their season on the road this Saturday at 7 o'clock in Athens, Ohio. We'll let you know what we think about that. If you did not listen to our last show, we had Tyler Morona and Michael Lasker on for just a little conversation, maybe a state of the program conversation, and a lot of unknowns coming into this season. A lot of knowns, but a lot more unknowns on what it's going to look like. And we it's mostly speculation, but we have some fun with it.
Yeah,
and
thought it was good. Had fun.
Yeah, I had a blast doing it.
Yeah.
Now, it's always tough when you bring someone on for the first time. It's a little more stiff, right? So it was the same thing with James, the same thing with Tyler, and then once you get them on a couple times, everything loosens up. So we would love to have Mike back on again.
Absolutely.
sometime this football season. So I did go over the buy-seller holds during that episode, but I forgot to I tweeted these, and I didn't want them to go to waste. I tweeted them and wanted fans' thoughts. So all of these are the fan consensus, well, not consensus, but the fan majority rule here for all of the buy-seller holds that we did, or most of them. The first one, Syracuse will get 8+ wins this year. That was from at 315 to 704. We all sold very quickly. That was a lightning round. And out of 75 votes, well, most people didn't even take their time with this. 72% of Syracuse fans said sell. Babers sticks with the QB system for the entire season. Buy-seller hold from at James Zuba, our boy James. And out of 119 votes, 70% said sell. Syracuse football will make a bowl game this year out of 257 votes. 59% said sell. Okay, well, Joe was a little optimistic on that. Everybody actually was, except for me. I was the only one above sub 500 on that. The Dome will remain at full capacity for the entire season. Fans said 51% sell, 28% bought, and 21% hold. So, anyways, I wanted to go over those because I took the time to do them and I didn't want them to go to waste. Right? Right. All right, so we are going to go over the depth chart that just came out. A little tiny bit of news. I think we'll probably do some of the other news within the depth chart itself. And then we'll do some other news, and then we'll get into the preview. And then we are going to start this year fresh with our picks. And I am going to personally keep track of these between Joe and I. And we are going to see who wins this year. Who wins? Who's the closest? This is closest score of every game.
Are we really going to keep track this year?
Yes, we are. We are going to keep track this year. And why do you poo-poo that?
Well, it's just, because usually I just start off the season, kind of kicking your ass on it, and then you kind of forget, and you stop keeping track. And then the next thing you know, we get to the end of the season, and we don't even know, where we're at.
Well, part of this is poor planning and just laziness, to be quite honest with you. Everybody should honestly be happy that we even get here to do this with the way both of our personal lives and work lives are right now. So
yeah.
A lot of crazy stuff going on for Joe and me as well as far as work goes is awfully draining. Joe's buying a new home, so he is every day something with that. So anyways, and plus working in the promotion, which, requires a little bit more attention. So as most do. So anyways, while we're talking about buy, sell, or holds and things like that, it'd be great if you would go to the iOS or Android stores, download the app for the Spotify Green Room, download that thing. All you need is a username, a password, and an email address to sign up. It's free. Get there. Follow us at Cuse Militia on the Spotify Green Room app. You can opt in for notifications when we go live. When we go live, you will get a notification. You can click on that. You can either just listen live in the room. You can sit there and chat in the room. You can chat amongst each other if there's a couple of you in there. And you can also request to be on the show. And I already know who's coming, so I will be able to see who it is. I'll be able to call on you, and then you unmute yourself, as we found out in the last episode. Unmute yourself to get on and talk. And it would be great for fan feedback and all those other things. But, it's great if you follow us. Obviously, that's why we are here talking about it and why they sponsor the show. They want us to tell you so that you download the app. But you can also do your own thing. You don't have to just listen to us. You can start your own room, go live, and people can listen to you, talk to you, chat with you, or get on with you. And you can do your thing. And then topics range from sports to politics to pop culture. I mean, they got betting, MMA. They got everything there. So download it now. iOS or Android stores. It's free. Go do it. Appreciate it. Spotify Green Room. Okay. All right. So, all right, Joe. The depth chart came out, and the only buy, sell, or hold I remember from you for last year is turned out to be wrong on it. It was the only one I remembered, which was that Garrett Schrader was going to start. Looks like Tommy DeVito is going to start. So as I'm looking at this thing, are there any real surprises to you other than I saw one on here. Abdul Adams isn't listed anywhere, which I thought was odd. But Sean Tucker is going to get the start. I think after last year, I don't think any of us thought any different, right? I think we knew he was going to be a good contender for that. Chris Elmore is going to start at tight end with Luke Benson backing him up. That's a little bit of a surprise, I suppose, right?
Right.
But more of a natural position for him. So did you see anything kind of?
There was a couple things that actually surprised me that kind of said a lot. Looking at the two deep of the receivers and seeing Taj Harris as the starter in the slot. I'm sure if they ended up going to a two receiver set, then he'd be out there. But having Sherrod Johnson, seeing him out there, hopefully he can step up. He's been around for 4, maybe 5 years. So he's getting to the point where, he's probably got some, he does. He's got Damian Alford, a freshman, and probably a Rondé Gedson, who's another freshman with some size that's pretty much chomping at his heels. And he's going to have to prove himself out there. And I have to imagine that he's probably just the starter because usually you get the older guys that are better with the, the run blocking and stuff like that down the field. But I like to see a Rondé Gedson and Damian Alford up there in that two deep, especially with Courtney Jackson there behind Taj Harris. So I think our receivers, they look pretty promising, and we know what Taj Harris and some of these other guys can do. So now it's time for the other guys to prove themselves and make it a true competition and see who can step up. But I can easily see us going 6 deep there. Also, obviously, Darius Tisdale getting the start at right guard over Dakota Davis, but that still could be, just him missing time, and Darius has been in there. So really nothing to see there. But really the biggest thing, I think, to me was the free safety, like the safety positions. It kind of tells me a lot because Eric Coley. Well, so we all know Jihad Carter had a great freshman year, but he also, between him and Rob Hanna, they both were true freshmen. They came in and had great freshman years stepping in for the guys that got hurt, Eric Coley and Andre Sisco, but they also were number 1 and number 2 on the team in missed tackles. And there's times when you visibly saw that it was the strength, it wasn't the mental, or the athletic ability to be there. It was just, they missed the tackle because just bigger, faster, stronger, guys that are 4 or 5 years older. So, to see that, now Eric Coley was a starter last year until he got hurt the first game of the season. And now Jihad Carter, he's starting over him, only after one off season of, him playing, last year. Rob Hanna getting the start, it really didn't surprise me. But the other
How
one,
about
I think, was
Deuce Chestnut?
Well, Deuce Chestnut, we've been hearing good things out of camp. So I expected to see the Amon Greenwoods and the Neil Nunns and the Adrian Coles kind of be in the 2 deep. But Deuce Chestnut, from everything that I've heard, there's no reason how. He's going to make mistakes, but there's no reason. No way he wasn't going to be the opposite starter of Garrett Williams for probably the last 2 weeks now. But really, Ben LaBrosse getting that other safety starting spot over Jason Simmons, the transfer from New Mexico State. Really heard good things about both of them. Ben LaBrosse, 6'2", 200 pounds. It's pretty big. Same thing with Jahad Carter. So just to see that, our 3 safeties, it kind of makes me nervous, but it also kind of shows some promise because those guys got a lot of burn last year as true freshmen. And you see they put a little bit of weight on, and they won their respective positions or, position battles thus far this season. So it shows that we got a little bit of depth. And, obviously we're going to see more than just the starters, but I'm impressed with that. And hopefully, having those 3 freshmen back there doesn't mean we get burnt through the air again. And hopefully it means that, they learned through the freshman experience, and now they had a year to kind of get bigger, faster, stronger because they know what to expect.
I think this, we talked a lot, and throughout this season last year about this Josh Huff, the running back with the tree trunk legs. I mean, he was amazing in high school. I don't see him anywhere on here. I do know that he did have an owie, as Coach said, a couple weeks ago. So we don't know the status of that. But I would expect this kid, if he gets a little bit of burn, to do some things. I guess it might be the expectations that were laid in front of me, but I would expect him to, as time goes on, to get a little bit more and more. And maybe some of that's just me being wildly excited about seeing him. But
I think that's what it is.
Freshman James Williams is going to start as the punter. And, so we get to see a little bit of new kicking action going on. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
But the running back situation, realistically, with him getting his owie, and we still don't even know how bad it is. And with, just seeing the depth chart of these 3 plus Abdul Adams that is on there as well. I thought it was pretty much a foregone conclusion, especially because we know that Jarvion Howard's a pretty good goal line running back. I thought it was a foregone conclusion that Huff was probably going to redshirt anyway. So don't get me wrong, I'm excited about the kid too. But with the depth that we have this year, I see him having to get a year to kind of get into college football shape. The
speed. Just the speed and everything. Yeah, bigger, faster, stronger, as we always state at the beginning of every year. I would agree. There's a couple of them. There's a couple of them that I favor coming in. Malcolm Folk, we kind of expected him, and we had an interview with him, and we kind of.
Josh Huff, he looks kind of like a fullback though, right?
Yeah,
he's a big giant, boy. So
yes.
I look at him and I'm like, okay, so he's got the running back skills. It's just because he doesn't need to be that big. I can see him, putting on muscle, but leaning down and being able to make himself quicker and more agile and faster as well. So, again, maybe, blessing in disguise, don't want to lose a year, and he can take the off season or the season.
My fear is always if he doesn't know that coming into it.
Well, that's true, but, because, again, he could have a bad injury to where he needs surgery. We still don't even know yet.
Yes.
Last we heard he was getting his MRI, and then I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know if you have, but
no. Well, obviously that is always the biggest question mark. Is what do we got coming into this? We never know injuries until pretty much until we know that it's bad, right? So they either come back or we find out because it's so bad that they just release the information.
They just wait until it's a definite.
Right. Mckinley Williams, obviously, we've heard rumblings he was sick or he was ill. Coach called the medical issue today. Was that Friday in his press conference? And so he is a starter on the depth chart. So that gives me a glimmer of hope that he's expected to play, but we don't know. It could be a juke move. We just don't know. But, with that said, hopefully, for crying out loud, that, coming back, obviously opting back in this year, he, I'm sure, is just chomping at the bit, and he's a huge part of that defense. So
Yeah. And too, it's exciting too because I mean Jeff Canton-Arcu, I think he broke out a little bit last year, right?
Yeah, he did. I mean,
and to see Marlo Wax pass him on the depth chart. I mean, those guys are going to get playing time to back up, linebackers as well.
And the versatility too for Wax because he was originally recruited as a running back, wasn't he?
Well, he was running back linebacker, but he was being recruited by major conferences for both positions. But yeah, for him to come on and take that spot, and then obviously too, Juan Sparrow, I remember watching his tape, and he was a true freshman, I believe, last year. So this is his second year, I believe, and he being hitting the two deep, being the backup to Mikel Jones, again, pretty impressive seeing some of these guys come up. So I honestly can't wait to see this team. And see where some of these players are, because we saw some of these young guys who were, for all intents and purposes, thrown in because of injuries last year that now have surpassed some of these people that they were behind last year, right?
Right.
So I just can't wait to see the jump. That's all.
I know. I can't wait to just be able to evaluate this and know what we got. There's so many unknowns that it's just. The anticipation of it all is killing me. And if it's killing me, guys, then I know some of you are jumping on your skin because I'm not one itching to watch football because we all know that means the end of summer. And we all know that I hate that and I hate talking about it.
Sorry, bud.
Yeah, I know.
Tomorrow's September 1st, bro. I think it's pretty much over.
All I got to do is move to Florida. Then I won't care. Mm-hmm. After the kids graduate high school and figure out what the hell they're going to do. And that's
bold move, Cot.
That's the plan, man. You know what I'm saying? So just a little bit more news. And if you didn't already know, Trill Williams, he made the Miami Dolphins 53-man roster.
Yes, sir.
Cisco made the Jaguars roster. Melifanu made the Lions roster. Congratulations to those three. I don't think there was much of a question for them three. And even Tristan Jackson, who was cut by the Rams. It's too bad for him. Maybe he gets on a practice squad or something and works his way back up. And
Nolan Cooney got cut.
Nolan Cooney, yeah.
Hoff Richter got cut after playing last year.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. That was a little bit of a surprise, but
yeah. Well, I thought Trill Williams obviously.
Well, Trill and Cisco, I thought hands down were definites. In my opinion, that's just.
I thought based upon where they were drafted. I mean, usually don't draft somebody in the top 3 or 4 rounds and they don't make the roster. So,
true, right? Yeah.
Usually, I looked at it like Melifanu and Cisco were pretty much, definites. Trill Williams, he was the one that was undrafted. So, it's a long trek on a team, especially like the Dolphins. I mean, just for his start, right? I mean, he left early, didn't get drafted, then got picked up as undrafted free agent for New Orleans, failed the physical, then got picked up by Miami, who's pretty deep at cornerback, and he climbed that mountain, and I mean, not too many guys do that,
No, and he just didn't.
A lot
give
of those
up.
guys are just happy enough to do good enough to get signed to the practice squad,
right?
Especially when you're coming from undrafted to be able to make the team. That's kudos to him, man.
Yeah,
he had a great offseason. He had a great preseason, great offseason, everything.
Yep. So it's going to be fun to see those guys come through. Cisco on a team that's going to be, Travis Etienne, he's done for the year, right? So you still got,
he's done.
Yeah, right. So you got Trevor Lawrence and
it'll be interesting to see if Cisco starts.
Cisco, yeah, I mean, he's a monster, man. Maybe he doesn't start immediately, but I mean, there's a chance he gets a lot of playing time.
I don't think Melifowanu's going to start. Trill Williams probably won't start either, but like I said, I mean, those were guys. I didn't even know that Melifowanu was really going to get drafted that high, like throughout the season, until they actually went out and he started like doing workouts and stuff, and they're talking about, you might get drafted in the top 3 or something. I didn't even see that. So, good for all them. Yeah, and Mike, Dolphins are Michael's favorite team. So,
yeah, that's right.
He's got a Cuse player on there.
He's got a Cuse player on his team. That's awesome. Must be nice.
Riley Dixon did make a roster though.
Yeah,
you still got to keep that punter.
He's a hell of a punter, bro.
Yep.
He is. I mean, I hate the Giants, but you got to give props where props are due. You know what I'm saying? So, real quick, guys, quickly. I'm going to be quick here. Get to the iOS or Android store, download the Green Room Spotify app, get on there, follow us at Cuse Militia. Also, all you need is an email, password, and a username, and you are in for free. Follow us on there. Sign up for the notifications when we go live. You get notified, and you can join us in the Green Room. Also, you can do your own thing in the Green Room, as I mentioned before. So, iOS or Android stores, free. Download it, please, so we can stop talking about it. Because we're going to kick this thing off, by the way. Sunday. It's getting kicked off. So, you can get in there, do some live fan feedback. Or you can make us look stupid. One or the other. It's fine. All right, Joe, let's get into this. Our first preview of the 2021, 22-ish. 2021, really. Right? Yeah. Totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Football season. So, all right. This was a difficult one to do. I'm not going to lie to you. But coached by former offensive coordinator Tim Albin after head coach Frank Slowick retired. This is
Solish.
Solish, whatever. Who cares? He doesn't coach anymore. Tim Albin does. Pretty decent quarterbacks. Speaking of dual quarterback system, they've got a couple of guys who can make plays with their feet. Curtis Rourke, he's more of a pocket guy, but he does the running. Armani Rogers, he's the guy you got to watch out for. But he can run and he can make plays with his feet. They both can, but Armani Rogers is the one. So when he's got the ball, he's thinking about taking off. They'll be playing behind a pretty solid line. They get back 4 starters, but they did lose all-star center Brett Cottrell. So there is that. It's tough losing a senior center like that. The receiving core has a slew of deep threats that, quote, should hit the Orange secondary hard, according to collegefootballnews.com. Huh?
I said, where'd that come from?
At collegefootballnews.com.
Okay.
Isaiah Cox, he is averaging over 20 yards per catch on 7 grabs. He led the team in 2019. They did lose Shane Hooks. He was a pretty decent playmaker. Ended up going to Deion Sanders, Jackson State. There's 2 brothers playing tight end, Adam and Ryan Lurman, right? Lurman, yeah. They're going to both get action at tight end. A seemingly dual threat backfield, even with DeMonte Tugger and O'Shea Allison. They're both around the same size, and they can both put on a little bit of a show. I think Tuggle is the starter. So, Joe, although finishing 2-1 last year, they had a shortened season because of COVID, obviously. They're a 1.5 favorite, 1.5 point favorite. Also, there's a lot of seasoned players returning, and what I would guess they'd be obviously hungry, chomping at the bit to get after this. So, a little bit, the spread, we only pay so much attention to the spread, but this is at their home turf. They do have some experienced guys. Their season was shortened, and, it's not going to be a walk in the park. It doesn't look like a walk in the park.
No, a lot of times when you look at losing a head coach, then especially that close to the season.
He's been the offensive coordinator, though, right?
That's the thing. So Solich has been there for 16 years. He's a pretty well-known head coach. There's respect there that's given. And the guy that Tim Albin has been with him all 16 years. So as far as continuity and as far as coaching staff and all that stuff goes, it seemed to me like they kind of had that locked in. So I don't know how much that's going to affect it. But really where it comes down is really now you got a guy that's got to make those in-game decisions. A lot of times in college, we've seen where you have good coordinators that can handle, up to this point, right? But to be the head coach, it's got to kind of make all the calls and work together with your coordinators to kind of orchestrate the whole thing and, make the tough calls, field goal, go for it, fake punt, timeout, all that stuff. That's a different ball game, and you never really know how somebody is going to coach when they go from coordinator to head coach. Just because you can be a coordinator doesn't mean you can be a head coach. But that's not
True.
to say that he isn't going to be successful as well. Sure, looking at their schedule, I mean, they have us on the schedule, obviously, first game, but their third game is against Louisiana Lafayette, who's starting the season ranked. They almost went undefeated last year, and they also play Northwestern week 4 at Northwestern. The Louisiana Lafayette games at Louisiana Lafayette, too. So they got a difficult little non-conference there, but going into the first game of the season after a shortened season last year with their head coach gone, I'm sure that they're going to try to, win one for the Gipper, as the old adage is. And so they're going to come out tough. And, I don't know what their situation was, obviously, with fans. I know I saw some type of tweet or something from somebody in the Ohio area or that area that said they were going. He was a Syracuse fan, and he kind of just let everybody know that he called the box office, and they're not the stadium isn't mandatory in any masks, any tests or vaccination cards or anything like that. So there's not any type of those things that are going to prohibit anybody, and there should be a full stadium. So, and it's at night, that in those night games, those daunting night games, when you get those riled up college kids in there. Obviously, the 1.5 points. I mean, it's going to be tough. Everything that you look at is like, okay, this is probably not going to be that easy. They got picked to finish third in the MAC today as well. So it's a situation where you got a team you're talking about the top 3 in the MAC. Those aren't easy outs, especially, like I said, away at night. You mentioned some of the players. They did have a quarterback controversy, and you're absolutely right. As far as the 2 quarterbacks said, Curtis Rourke, his older brother played for Ohio. And now he plays for Ohio, and he is going to be the starting quarterback. And like you said, with the likes of Isaiah Cox and Luhrmann's, and I was reading up a couple receivers to look out for. Wade Sheets is looking pretty good, and Miles Cross is looking pretty good as well. Look out for those names as far as receivers go. But those are younger guys, so I don't know where you got that Sporting News thing, but from what I read from, an Ohio page, local news or whatever, that they're worried about the depth of their receivers, and they're pretty much run heavy anyway. I mean, you nailed it on the head. Their best player is Tuggle. Demontre Tuggle is easily their best player. There's a YouTube video out there, Ohio Bobcats football, where they listed their top 10 players, and Demontre Tuggle was number 1. So they're very, very run heavy. When you look at even last year, Curtis Rourke, he was the starter, and he only threw 44 passes in 3 games. So you're looking at a guy that never even threw 20 passes in a game. They're a run heavy team. Meanwhile, Demontre Tuggle himself had 53 carries in 3 games. So it's going to be a situation where they're going to run. They're going to try to mix in passes. I'm sure Luhrmann's going to get a couple, and they're going to try to dink and duck, and probably trying to get Isaiah Cox there in the open. From what I understand, he only threw for 386 yards and 3 touchdowns in 3 games. So when you look at the average, you're talking about, 15 throws?
It's so hard to go off of. Yeah,
I know it's hard to go off of, but you're talking about 3 MAC teams as well. It wasn't like these were like
and one was Bowling
played against
Green,
last year.
Notably awful.
2 of the games they played against were really bad teams, right?
Yeah.
They lost to Central Michigan in the first game. So when you look at Rourke's average last year, you're talking about 15 passes for 128 yards and a touchdown a game.
Yeah, what was the in Tuggle? He was like 6.8.
He was 53 attempts for 403 yards and
what
6
was his
touchdowns.
Average?
That's an average of 7.6,
7.6
yards.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and they have O'Shawn Allison and Julian Ross as well that can carry the load as well. So I expect run heavy. Curtis Rourke, like you said, he doesn't really run. He had 14 attempts for 17 yards last year in those 3 games. But again, they said something about a dual threat. So I can really see a situation where, their offense just isn't getting it done, and they bring in Armani Rogers, who's going to come in and he's going to run.
Is it RPO stuff, or is it? So hard to tell what he's doing,
because
it seems
it's RPO stuff as much as it's just kind of
he just takes off. If he sees an opening, he's going to take off.
That, and they probably have some designed runs in there for him as
Sure.
well. I mean, he had
Right.
in 3 games he didn't even start as quarterback. He had 19 carries for 114 yards and 2 touchdowns. Only threw the ball 9 times. So, I'm looking at it as.
Okay, so what you gather.
This almost looks like a situation like that we're in as far as Syracuse goes. A pocket passer versus a runner.
Sure, yeah,
and
I know.
First game of the season, you really don't know which guy.
They do
based
know,
upon,
though. They've
Who's
seen
that?
both of their guys. I'm talking about Ohio.
Oh, yeah, they've seen it, but again, you only see it in certain spurts, right? I mean, Curtis Rourke, he's obviously a sophomore this year. He's a freshman last year, so he's definitely probably making a leap or taking a leap if they're, calling him that, quarterback. But at the same time, they're still not telling Armani Rogers that you're not going to get any playing time because, he's so dynamic on his feet and he's got those little. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have little plays for him in there, maybe plays where he comes in and the other quarterback stays in. Who knows? I mean, there might be some trick plays in there. Wouldn't be surprised. But again, like I said, it's the same thing as us. If Curtis Rourke, if he struggles, then I can see Armani Rogers coming in to make plays on his feet and help Ohio score some points and win this game. And it's vice versa. Same thing when it comes to talking about our quarterbacks as well.
I was going to ask you a question and you cut me off.
Sorry,
I can't remember what it was. But
I guess the other big thing, too, is the linebacker, Key Thompson. He's got a knee injury. He's going to be out, and he was ranked as like the top 7 player on the defense. So this defense was young a couple years ago, but from what I understand, they're maturing. There's 2 safeties on that list as well. So heard good things. What I read, they were really, really excited about their secondary this year and their linebackers this year as well. So Ohio, from what I remember, they were always a team that their defense kind of helped them stay in games. They weren't a world beater, but they were a pretty solid defense.
They lost Austin Conrad. Not that it matters in the backfield on defense, but they return a couple of really big dudes on the line. 300-pound Kyle McCracken. So it's going to be interesting, especially with Syracuse. I just have a feeling. I mean, I'm just confused on what their offense is going to look like. So, and on the flip side of that too, like what our DBs are going to look like. Like obviously you have Garrett Williams back there, but I don't know. Maybe that's why collegefootballnews.com thinks they got some power deep threats. Receiving court has a slew of deep threats that should hit the orange secondary hard. That was the quote I pulled. But anyway,
we'll see.
Well, exactly. We'll see. That would be my only worry. I don't see him going after Garrett Williams a ton. I mean,
Isaiah Cox, he's solid. And if Garrett follows him, I don't know if we just play sides or if we follow receivers, I don't know. But he's the one that we really, really got to stop. We know that they're going to be run heavy to begin with. So as long as we can stop the run, which obviously we had issues with last year, and just don't let them hit us up with big plays. If they start getting good runs, then people are going to move up. Then they'll hit us with the play action. Then that's when they get the big plays. I just don't see this team coming out running and gunning and passing all over us. It's more of a slower paced running team. So
yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a grudge match for the most part. I mean, you got to think. First game of the season. This team played 3 games last year. We obviously had a rough year. And we're going to be getting our footing, and I think they're going to be getting their footing. It's going to be ugly. I think it's probably going to be typical ugly at first until these guys get settled in. Like you mentioned, it's a little bit later of a game. I think that benefits them.
Especially at home.
Yeah, especially at home. So, anyways, it's going to be a blast, especially in prime time. And by the way, there's Darlington Southern 500 is being played at the same time, so I'm going to have to get dueling TVs.
Wow. Well, the other thing you got to look at too is this team they played 3 games last year. They didn't even play a full season.
I know.
Regardless, I mean, you can look at this team and their situation, but regardless of, at least we got 11 games in, and the guys that came back got to grow, got to get that experience. You know what I mean? You never want to go 1-10, obviously, but It's better than just playing 3 games and your season getting canceled. So we talked about that all last year about how we'd rather see them play and lose all the games. And something like that is a situation where even if just because they played it out, they're probably going to be in a better position than this team. I see it as, most likely a defensive game. I don't think it's going to be as if it's high scoring, it's because we're protecting Tommy and he's just hitting people all over the place, or Schrader comes in and surprises all of us. But I don't see their offense running away with the game.
I would agree. I still think it's going to be close. Which leads me to this. No? You don't? Well, let's do this.
No, I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, let's do this. It's time for picks. It is time for picks. Do you have any last words on the Ohio Bobcats, for crying out loud? I can't wait until this game is done because
we try to give the best information, right?
Right, which is why I went to all their sites for all their stuff.
And it's nerve-wracking too, because based upon the episode that we just had, we know how important
this game is, but then the next 3 after.
But we talked Rutgers, we talked Liberty. We almost talked as if this game was pretty much a shoo-in,
right?
And like I said, the money line has changed. The money line, it went from they were a 1-point favorite to a 1.5-point favorite to now Syracuse is a 1.5-point favorite. So.
Okay. Well, I didn't see that. That's my bad.
And a lot of people have been. I've been seeing a lot of people picking this game, talking about if you want easy money, people just think that we're going to go in and we're going to handle it. Maybe not blow them out, but they look at it as an ACC team. They'll beat them by at least a touchdown, right? So.
I think there's a good chance that Syracuse destroys this team. I think there's a good chance of that. I think.
Really.
I could see that happening. Yeah, I don't see a way in which Syracuse loses this game. Okay, I'm not poo-pooing the Ohio Bobcats, but I think it's going to be close. But I could see them just wrecking them.
See,
now I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying I could see it. I don't see us getting wrecked, and I don't see us losing on a last-second field goal.
If we blow them out, I think it's because our defense scores a touchdown and has ridiculous amounts of just plays out of their mind.
That's possible.
Out of their mind. I just don't. It's hard after last season to come on the air the first game of the season this year and say that we're going to blow them out based upon our offense.
Did I say we were going to blow them out? I said I could see it. I could see it happening. I could see it happening.
You close your eyes and you can see it.
I could see it happening where Syracuse is that motivated to come out here and punch someone in the nose because of all the negativity that they've just been able to feed off of and hold in, and it's just pure motivation and just mayhem, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and when you finally get the pads on and you get to hit someone besides your buddy on the other side of the line or vice versa. You who knows? I can see a situation where Syracuse, they got something to prove. They got these 4 guys coming back. They're coming back for revenge. They're going to give
a reason.
Exactly. So I could definitely see a situation where Syracuse blows this team out. I don't think it's going to happen. But also, Rutgers is a whole nother ball game as well, and we'll talk about that next week. But
and Dino's feeling the heat.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest with you, too, Joe, real quick. He didn't sound too confident, in my opinion, on his last press conference about, coming out and punching Ohio in the mouth. I didn't get a ton of confidence out of him. Now, he's been yelling a lot, and he was losing his voice a little bit.
No, you also said that it's been a bad week already, so maybe it's just the natural negativity that's been flowing through your veins for the past 2 days.
Well, look.
I'm just saying I didn't get that.
You didn't get that from Coach?
I didn't, no.
Okay. Well, I just got that. I just got the little bit of that vibe. Like, he wasn't extremely confident. Or, maybe he's, we know how he is. He's very reserved. Yeah. He doesn't give up too much information. He never gets too excited. He always gives them benefit of the doubt, right? I mean, that's what coaches do. So
I'm just simply stating that if you're going to come out and make the bold claim of, and like I said, you can see, if there's any fan out there that's just assuming that we're just going to blow this team out, I pray the only way that this could be logical is if you're going off of basically what Sean just said and the fact that Babers is playing for his job, probably in your mind. I don't think so.
I think there's a good chance that Babers is definitely on the hot seat. I'm not saying he's going to get replaced, but if we don't have if we don't have something to show for, I mean, it's going to be the talk of the town.
He's smart enough to know.
I understand.
He knows,
that.
and like what I said, based upon what you said about the players and having that coming back to prove something, plus with Babers' situation, that's the only real way that you could think, okay, this team's going to come out and that would be a positive. If that happens, I'd be like, okay, then this team is probably right where I want it to be week 1.
You've got Tommy DeVito, too, playing for his starting spot. Garrett Schrader's got nothing to lose. Tommy DeVito's got to come out and impress. He's got a reason to come out and just light it up. Okay? Because
a lot of them do, but
I understand, but especially him. And also, this offensive line's got something to prove. There's so much negativity that surrounds this Syracuse football team between the fans and some of the writers and just some of the, not just the writers on our, in our circles of Syracuse media. Not saying we're Syracuse media. I'm saying the basics. You know who they are.
Yeah. But
beyond. The outside writers that aren't Syracuse writers. It's just a lot of negativity, and if I'm athletes don't go, oh well, man, I guess we suck. That's just not how it works.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're finishing last.
I guess we're screwed.
Hey guys, they just said we're finishing last.
So,
it's not funny. Yeah. It's not funny.
Tommy DeVito has been smiling throughout his press conferences. You can tell he can't wait to get out there. He's got something to prove, and he seems very confident in himself as well. So, look,
to play devil's advocate, he's looked great in practices in the spring and in the fall every offseason that we've had, and he's always came off like that. He interviews great.
He does, and he's confident in himself. But that's half of it.
Well, you have to be. But yes, that is half of it. And again, I mean, you can do all that, but when the bullets start flying in, it's not just whistle blowed, 2-hand touch, don't hit the quarterback.
Absolutely.
That's when you need to be there, and that's when all that stuff needs to shine. And he knows that. He had an interview with a reporter, the 2-minute drill with one of the reporters. Yeah. And he just talked about the biggest thing for him was basically mental, only starting 4 games and then having to sit out the rest and help all the young guys and get them prepared. He watched more film. He looked into other things, and he got his mental right. And we talked about that. We knew that as soon as that pocket collapsed and he had to make that decision, he was not that good at making the decisions. Sometimes I don't blame him, because there's only so many times you can get hit real hard like that before it's just natural reaction where it's like you're looking out for yourself.
Just don't run out of bounds behind the line of scrimmage with the ball.
It's that kind of stuff, right? And I hope that it's a situation where, Sterling Gilbert was still able to, during the season last year, be able to point to some of the things that, Tommy could fix while he was injured during the season, all while still helping himself and the team and the young guys. So, like I said, I want him, none of us want him to do bad. No one's like, well, I want this guy, or we want the best player to play. Just like the coaches, just like the players on the team, the best player that can give you the best chance to win. That's who we want out there. So I'm cheering for him.
Absolutely.
But this year, the backup isn't some of the backups that we've had the past couple of years. So
no, they're ready to fill a spot.
Right. So. I mean, we got a guy behind him that if he doesn't play well enough, it might not take an injury to lose his job. The last 2 years, it took an injury for him to lose his job. This year, that might not be the case if he doesn't, come out and do what he wants to do.
I can't remember if it was Mike or Tyler, but one of them was pretty much saying just that. I mean, the leash is short, and Tommy's leash, he doesn't get injured last year. We just put up with it. And
the year before.
It's right, much like that. But the leash is short.
Clayton Welch and Rex Culpepper.
I know it. And you know how the fans are, and we'll deal with that if we have to. But the leash is short. The change can be made quick, and I don't think Coach. I do worry about some of the loyalty stuff, but at the end of the day, he wants to win. We all know he wants to win.
Yeah.
But he's got options this year, and that opens up a lot of things for Dino Babers as a coach, for all these coaches. And
Right.
I think this game's going to tell us a lot. I do think this is a decent matchup. And I think we're all going to be able to come back here Sunday, Saturday night when we get fan feedback, and Sunday when we come back and do the actual show. I think we're going to know a whole lot more than we know now. And
No, we definitely are.
And it's going to be
It's not that I think.
it's going to be from there. It's going to be a little bit easier to set your expectations for this team going forward. So
I have a question for you.
oh boy, what?
Do you think that is why Zeno said from the beginning that he wants to make it black and white? Do you think that he said from the beginning, "Hey guys, you guys got to make it black or white"?
Oh, so he
because deep down loyalty was the tiebreaker.
Yes, and absolutely, I do think that that's what's going on right now, and that's why I mentioned in the last show that I may not have articulated it right, but in fact, I know I didn't, but that's kind of what I was saying, is that if it's not black and white, he's going to go with Tommy. But in Garrett Schrader's defense, as the new kid on the block, for him to even be granted, okay, we're going to do a two quarterback system now, that says a lot about him and what he can do progressively through the year. And that's why when I think it was Michael that said, Tommy's going to be on a short leash. That's absolutely correct, because I think Dino knows the capabilities. I think we all know the capabilities of Garrett Schrader and what he can do. And I think Tommy knows it too. He's been in practice. He sees it. But yeah, I do. I agree with you. I think that the loyalty is the tiebreaker, and I think that's why we're looking at going into the Ohio game as Tommy as a starter. And this isn't a big deal either, because he's got the option. I think he put it out there to the press that we all expect to see both quarterbacks during this game, and and we're going to get to see them both in action. And I think hopefully that this will be the black and white for Dino Babers. And
he's giving him that extra credit, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
He's like, hey,
he's taking it to the next level.
Y'all didn't make it black or white. Now go win your job.
Right.
If you don't, then Garrett's got the second quarter. Like,
right.
That's legitimately what it is. Like, because what you're talking about, for the last 2 years, there wasn't even a leash. You're talking about the last 2 years, there was a dog collar with no batteries. Like, that's like, it didn't matter. As long as he was healthy, he was starting.
Right.
So this year, he put it out there and he laid it on the table, and I think that's what it was. I think that was his. When he said, there's going to be two quarterbacks that play, one of it is that maybe he hasn't seen enough from Schrader, hasn't seen him live to be able to break practices and go live against, a defense that's trying to hit him. But also, the fact that he's like, look, this is kind of your last hurrah, buddy. Like, you got a chance here, but we're going to give this other guy a chance. And he said, like you said, he's basically daring Tommy to go take the job. Because if not, then
the talk has been had, I'm sure.
Right. But there's a situation. If DeVito comes out and kills it, then we might not even see Garrett Schrader, and it might be, okay, Tommy's the starter. Like, and that might happen. Like, there might be a situation where we only see Garrett Schrader because DeVito just threw for 5 touchdowns, carved up Ohio, and now Garrett Schrader's just getting garbage time.
And that's a possibility.
But then there's also the possibility of
he just runs out of bounds with the ball behind the line of scrimmage and tosses.
If you do some of that stuff in the first quarter, I'm telling you, Garrett Schrader's going to get a drive.
Yeah,
he's going to get a chance, and now, and he could literally take it from him. He could take the whole season from him and just not stop running, not look behind him. That could happen.
And he's the guy that can do it. He's got the talent.
He is. Yeah.
So,
Rex Culpepper and Clayton Welch and all those guys weren't going to do it.
They were not going to do it. Unfortunately, regardless of what many Syracuse fans thought last year, those guys weren't going to be able to reel that in and take control of that team and turn it into a winning program last year. It was just not going to happen, and it was circumstantial. It wasn't all their fault, but it was not going to happen. All right, Joe, with that said, let's do picks. So as we come into this preview, we did do our predictions last episode, and I've got this as a W. And everything I've said, I believe. I don't see a way where Syracuse loses this game. And you can be like, oh, that's overconfident, but I'm pretty honest with you guys when I feel something. And I don't see how they lose this game, but I do think it's close. 24-27 Syracuse.
Okay. It's a little low scoring.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I see a situation too where it could be 42-28.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm I'm not going to go that far with it. But I've kind of like talked myself out of what I originally was thinking. And I'm going to go 32-22.
Okay.
Syracuse. We get a late touchdown to go up 10.
All right. Well, it's going to be a ton of fun. I am going to ask, shoulda, woulda, coulda done it before the show. I'm going to ask for your predictions via Twitter, via Facebook, and we'll see if someone nails it. If someone nails it, maybe we got something for you.
Yeah.
If you get it exactly right. And I think I did this a little bit last year too. So.
Yeah, you did, and I think somebody won, and you didn't give them anything.
No, that's not true. Someone was off. I think it was. I can't remember who it was, so I don't want to say. But someone was off by 1 point on one of the teams, on a score, and that's as close as it got. Because if someone nailed it, trust me, I would do something for them. So, all right. Well, everybody, we really appreciate you for coming in and hanging out with us. If you didn't listen to the last episode, it's still relevant. You can check it out over on iTunes, and we appreciate it. Appreciate all of you for hanging out with us so much. Can't wait to get this football season kicked off. So excited. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.
You did it all hard.
Yeah. Didn't have anybody to steal it from me this time.